resolution of the Palestinian conflict. Maritime threats of several types exist because of the unresolved regional conflicts, having ethnic as well as ideological dynamics. In the maritime context, these have increased manifestations in form of terror incidents or suspected terror incidents at high seas, some of which are shown on this slide. Consequently, manifestation of maritime threats result in the transition of security environment for being transparent to uncertain and ambiguous that has global impact as it creates fluctuation of oil prices, concerns for sea routes, security, and war risk, imposition of war risk surcharges. Ladies and gentlemen, intervention is a well-known and contested concept. At times, its outcome is positive, many a times not so positive, and sometimes very negative. We will not debate its political dynamics here, but as one of its important ramifications, sea medium is often used for transportation of weapons to conflict-prone spots without any legal mandate. Houthis, for instance, have been receiving significant amount of weapon cash to sustain their military operations, though UN security resolutions strictly bans any such arms transfer. This has been one of the prime focused area for the US maritime forces in recent times, and this formidable task demands a collaborative response by the stakeholders. Western Indian Ocean is a strategic energy conduit. Nearly 26.9 million barrels per day of oil passes through it. Over 40% of oil and 50% of gas shipments pass through the Western Indian Ocean. Besides this, almost 40% of the global offshore oil industry is located in the littorals of this ocean. Both India and China import about 80% of their oil from the Persian Gulf countries, as the region holds almost 30% of world's proven oil reserves. Security along the energy highways is obviously a matter of compulsion for navies belonging to all the stakeholders. Western Indian Ocean is also known for drugs transportation. Use of smack track and hash highways for narco trafficking has also been adopted by some actors for financial gains. UNODC report is indicative of the fact that Pakistan remains amongst the top countries that have seized drugs in large quantities, which includes 19 tons of opium and about 6 tons of heroin in 2018 alone. Unless the drug-producing epicenters, including one in Afghanistan, is brought under control, the Western Indian Ocean region would continue to face the ominous challenge of drug trafficking in future. Human smuggling, due to its clandestine nature, there is no reliable global statistic on the number of migrants smuggled each year. UNODC gives a disturbing picture of over 500 different trafficking flows through land, sea, and air in which people are smuggled for various reasons. The trends vary from year to year, but overall trajectory of human smuggling is globally rising. Human smuggling occurs through sea primarily due to lack of alternative choice of traveling medium. Inherent dangers associated with irregular travel at sea makes human smuggling utilizing the maritime domain a priority concern for response by most of the navies. Piracy gripped the Western Indian Ocean for almost a decade, but the last unsuccessful attempt by pirates in the Somali Basin was in April 2019. There was also a possibility of insurgency-piracy nexus because of Al-Shabaab's rebellion against the Somali government, and its need for resources to fuel that insurgency may have supported the piracy attempts. The IMB piracy and armed robbery statistics highlight a substantial focus of pirates has shifted towards the Western African coast. Last year's statistics for Somali coast can be termed encouraging when seen in the retrospect of 2011, when piracy in this region peaked to 237 reported incidents. This reduction is mainly attributable to sustained presence of multinational coalitions like CMF, EU-NAV4, as well as independent players like China, Russia, Pakistan, as well as India, patrolling the Western Indian Ocean region. Yet a guard cannot be totally lowered against this menace. Large, unmonitored expanse of sea is also a huge challenge. Very large swath of the sea expanse in the Western Indian Ocean remains unmonitored due to limited naval presence. The security constructs of CMF, NATO, and independent deployers strive hard, but the available forces do not suffice, and the force flows have been marginal or at least insufficient, with insufficient regional contributions. The picture of the large sea space necessitates tremendous resources and will be collaborate as well as contribution by the Western Indian littorals. Besides the threat of traditional application of military power in a typical interstate armed conflict, there is also the contemporary state-sponsored use of asymmetric means in sync with irregularly with the conventional military. Capture of Kulbhushan Yadav, who was poised to engage in terror acts against Pakistan's strategic maritime infrastructure, was a clear manifestation of hybrid threats being real and present, using or trying to use the sea medium. This is also a factor that cannot simply be ignored, even if one has to recognize cooperation as the key to deter evolving shared maritime challenges. Merchant ship safety and commerce interruptions is also a challenge. In an unstable maritime region, merchant traffic is the most affected. The security situation results into war surcharges and extra burden on shipping industry and traders, leading to uncertainty in the business. Shipping companies like Lloyd's, One Shipping, and Maersk have implemented war risk surcharges in recent times in view of the security situation in the Strait of Hormuz, Gulf of Aden, and the Red Sea. Tropical cyclones, superfloods, and other disasters are usual occurrences in the Western Indian Ocean with changed and more devastating patterns. Indian Ocean tsunami of 2004 wreaked havoc in the coastal towns and cities of Sri Lanka and Indonesia. Pakistan's super flood of 2010 devastated huge areas and affected about 20 million people. Tropical cyclones Fet of 2010 and Nilufar of 2014 severely impacted Oman and Pakistan's coastal areas. Western Indian Ocean states have a deficient organizational framework as well as the response mechanisms and resources to cope up with natural calamities of this scale. Having dwelled upon the Western Indian Ocean environment and the prevailing challenges, let me now move on to Pakistan Navy's contributions towards maritime security and regional stability in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, recognizing the Chief of the Naval Staff's strategic direction of securitization through cooperation, while aligning with its core doctrinal concept of cooperative continuum, Pakistan Navy believes in pursuance of shared interests by working alongside the other navies, in line with our government's policy. The thesis securitization through cooperation essentially means that cooperation is central to responding to common threats, while setting aside contested claims or differences which may exist amongst the states. Pakistan has been actively participating in the CMF's task force CTF 150 since 2004 and CTF 151 since 2009. Pakistan Navy has commanded CTF 150 for 11 times and CTF 151 for 9 times so far. Pakistani ships have so far clocked 5,000 days at sea and undertook more than 130 air surveillance sorties. We have investigated over 13,000 ships and craft and undertook more than 500 boarding operations. Under the PN command 2019 to August 2019, the CTF 150 ships conducted 18 boarding operations and captured 9 boats with a total of 17,800 kilograms of narcotics. Next is the evacuation of non-combatants. Naval forces are almost always called to evacuate non-combatants from a war-ravaged region. Our regional environment dictates naval forces' readiness to undertake this task at short notice. Pakistan Navy's recent non-combatant evacuation operations from Yemen is a testimony to this need. The naval ships Aslat and Shamsheer evacuated over 500 Pakistanis, 45 foreigners of 13 countries, which also included 11 Indians and 8 Chinese nationals. These operations earned us a global appreciation, including personally by the Chinese president. Realizing the national responsibilities and regional requirements, Pakistan Navy also launched its own initiative of regional maritime security patrols in 2018. Pakistan Navy's efforts were duly acknowledged by UKMTO, which declared North Arabian Sea free from piracy by the end of 2018. Ships deployed on these independent patrols can and have been forming part of the other multinational forces in direct or indirect support, which is a manifestation of the flexibility of the naval forces which I was referring to earlier. Pakistan Navy ships SAF and Zulfikar have recently completed 2 sets of these patrols and remain on task for more than 25 days without visiting any port of call. Pakistan Navy is a player with proactive regional engagement outreach policy. We hold frequent exercises with several regional and extra-regional countries, and we have been leveraging on our historic and time-tested relations with regional and especially the GCC navies, has been a major contributor in raising and training of a number of friendly navies operating in the region. The Chinese Belt and Road Initiative and Pakistan Navy's role. By securing the Gwadar port, the strategic hub of CPEC, the Navy isn't just protecting our state's assets, but indirectly contributing towards regional security and stability through a formalized Task Force 88 at Gwadar, envisaged as a transshipment hub with the potential to specifically meet China, Russia, and Central Asian republics' need. Gwadar port will have a number of other stakeholders in times to come. Owing to the operational geography vis-à-vis Pakistan's location and being part of CMF's task forces, while undertaking the regional maritime security patrols as part of the national tasking, Pakistan Navy has been acting as a stabilizing force at sea to contain the conflict over land. The Navy has been and will continue to contribute towards the Western Indian Ocean maritime security through a consistent watch in greater regional interest. It has carefully monitored and restricted unknown vessels' movements to and from Yemen because of our near permanent presence in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, in future, I think a cooperation competition dipole would be a conspicuous phenomena in the Western Indian Ocean region. The challenges are huge, but stakeholders may have to reset foreign policy choices and their priorities, aligning them with international norms, ethics, and morality. We also need a better understanding of the intertwining relationship between globalized economy, security, and prosperity, which has to be eventually people-centric. History has witnessed that wars, conflicts, and unrest have rarely resolved any issues. While Clausewitz termed war as an extension of foreign policy, I would argue that wars occur due to failure of foreign policy in most of the cases, while dialogues and cooperation have been most rewarding acts in the human history. To achieve the desired end state of sustained security, prosperity, and stability in the region, stumbling blocks like the ongoing atrocities in Kashmir and Palestine also need to be zoomed in and mitigated in line with UN resolutions. Maritime arena in the Western Indian Ocean can prove to be a catalyst for bonding nations together as it provides huge opportunities. In this context, one would like to have a future dispensation of maritime security mechanism with regional countries sharing the burden of responsibilities that satisfy a region-owned and region-led consideration. Such an arrangement could be termed as Western Indian Ocean Maritime Security Construct, with envisaged roles of intelligence sharing, deterrence patrols, and the important HADR. WIOMSC, Pakistan Navy's Joint Maritime Information Coordination Center, which has been newly reinvigorated, can also be transformed from the existing intelligence sharing network into an operational architecture to provide and coordinate maritime security multinationally, which could have subsequently naval assets from regional and extra-regional navies at the disposal for operational deployment to pursue the regional maritime security objectives. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan Navy has been and would continue to vouch and play its role for cooperative mechanisms for combating the threats common to all of us. In the end, I would like to leave you with the message of my naval chief, which represents the resolve for cooperation.
I often query that why my success should come at someone's feeling, or why would my success mean that someone must lose. There has to be a way where we all can win, and because this goes against the established thinking and psychology, therefore it needs a paradigm shift. Let's come together, understand each other, and fight the common enemy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening talk. Our next speaker for the session is Rear Admiral Murad Dinkman, Defense Director Planning with Project Management, who would be joining us online via video link. His topic for deliberation is Maritime Security Perspectives of the Turkish Naval Forces. Rear Admiral Murad Dinkman joined the Turkish Navy in 1991. He graduated from Submarine Training Center in 1992. He served as the Commodore for 1st Submarine Division from 2014 to 2016. His staff appointments included Turkish General Staff and Turkish Naval Forces, as well as Operation Division Head in Maritime Command Headquarters, Northwood, England, 2017. He was promoted to Rear Admiral in 2018 and assigned as deco support in MARCOM. Rear Admiral Dinkman is serving as the Director of Defense Planning and Project Management in Turkish Naval Forces. Ladies and gentlemen, Rear Admiral Murad Dinkman. Over to you, sir. Sir, can you hear us? We are establishing connection, and he'll be with us shortly. Sir, can you please share your screen if you can hear us?
Captain Nadir, can you hear us? Can you unmute your mic and switch on your video? And can you please switch on your camera?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Can I move on?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay.
Over to you, sir.
I would like to express my sincere gratitude to National Institute of Maritime Affairs for this invitation, providing an excellent opportunity for participant navies and nations to cultivate good relations with better understanding via this International Maritime Conference. Before the beginning, please let me convey the cordial greetings and best wishes from the Commander of Turkish Naval Forces, Admiral Adnan Özbal. I regret for not being able to join this distinguished group physically due to the COVID-19 pandemic measures. But despite the saying that virtual presence is actual absence, I feel really excited and honored to be able to address perspectives of Turkish Navy on maritime security before you, even via VTC. My presentation will cover the topics as reflected on the slide. At the outset, I would like to highlight the importance of Pakistan and mutual relations with Turkey. Apart from our relations, it is needless to say that with a rich history and great culture, Pakistan is a very significant country which has a central role for the security and stability of its region due to the metacentric geostrategic location forming the intersection of Asia, Middle East, Arabian Sea, and Persian Gulf. Considering the safety of transportation of energy and goods, the protection of critical infrastructure in context of One Belt, One Road initiative, it is easy to figure out that the importance of maritime security is rising for Pakistan as well. Owing to the modern and sophisticated Navy of Pakistan, including the components of naval aviation, Marines and Maritime Security Agency, Pakistan is tackling the challenges of and safeguarding the slopes competently and successfully. Pakistan, like Turkey, has always contributed to international cooperation and supported the peace and security in the world. Pakistan is not only a brotherly nation for Turkey, but also a strategic partner. Turkey and Pakistan have ineradicable relationships through thick and thin. I am delighted to say that, based on mutually beneficial visions, the increasing cooperation between Pakistan and Turkish navies is promising for regional and global maritime security as well. Our navies have strong ties and ongoing activities, including but not limited to maritime security, capacity building, technical and logistics support, training, education, and interoperability. Additionally, in terms of defense industry, Mirgem Corvette shipbuilding program for Pakistan Navy is still ongoing in Karachi and Istanbul shipyards. A quick snapshot of recent activities between the two countries can be a good example as seen on the screen. I am proud to say that Pakistan Navy is one of the key allies of Turkish Navy, and we have a perpetual ambition to cooperate with Pakistan Navy in each and every possible area of mutual interest. Yet, there are still vast areas that can be utilized to improve our relations and cooperation. In this part of my presentation, I will elaborate on Turkish Navy perspectives on maritime security. As we all know, maritime trade constitutes almost 90% and 70% of global trade in volume and value respectively. The volume of seaborne trade reached more than 11 billion tons as of 2019. While continuum of all maritime economic activities dictates maritime security as a key component or enabler, it is increasingly becoming a major concern for all maritime states. As a leading security organization, NATO has tailored four main roles to naval forces. These are maritime security, crisis management, deterrence and collective defense, and cooperative security outreach through partnerships, dialogue, and cooperation. In the NATO concept, the maritime security operation involves the tasks as shown on the screen. In this regard, the transboundary nature of threats and risks in maritime environment necessitates effective cooperation between all parties in eliminating these maritime threats and risks. Having a geostrategic position surrounded by Black Sea, the Aegean Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea, Turkey's unique geography makes it open to the effects of geopolitical tensions and incidents. The instability and unpredictable nature of security dynamics in the region oblige the Turkish naval forces to be vigilant and develop its capacity and capability to combat a variety of threats and risks in the spectrum of conventional and unconventional. Therefore, Turkish Navy operates predominantly in blue homeland and high sea, great determination to protect the nation's rights and interests, as well as struggling with challenges to maritime security. In this part, I will shortly touch upon our surrounding seas.
Please ask the Admiral to remind him to play slides. Admiral sir, could you play your slides because the slides are stuck at the only first slide.
Onlara gönderdik komutanı. Paylaşsa onlar da paylaşabilirler. Screen share. Our presentation.
Are the slides being shared?
We can hear you, please go on.
We can see your presentation, but your slides are on the first. You have to move the slide.
If you click the slide so that we can go to this relevant slide where the text is being spoken.
We are on maritime security perspectives on Black Sea slide.
Maritime security perspective on Black Sea slide. Slide number 11.
Sorry. Can you move your slides yourself?
So can you please press F5 on your keyboard? F5 key.
F5P. Can you see it now?
No, sir, it's on the first slide only.
Admiral sir, we can hear you loud and clear. The only thing is that your presentation, the view graphs are not moving forward. We can only see your title slide. If it is possible, go to the relevant slide. Otherwise, please continue your presentation.
If I say the number of the slides, can you also move the slides by yourself from Pakistan?
No, sir, I guess you have the access, that's why we cannot play it from here.
Since the presentation is being shared by you, so only you can click them.
To my knowledge, you also have the slides. I think there's a technical problem now. We are having a technical problem. But to my knowledge, you also have our slides. So maybe you can comment the slides from Pakistan as well.
Okay, Admiral sir, thank you very much. Please continue your talk. Please continue your talk.
Okay. Currently, I am on slide number 11.
So please continue, sir.
Slide 11. In this part, I will shortly touch upon our surrounding seas. Turkish Navy attributes Black Sea policy to four principles: regional ownership, full compliance with Montreal Convention, fostering regional initiatives, and contributions to NATO. Turkey stands out as the most active and constructive actor in the Black Sea, both in terms of ensuring regional security and enhancing cooperation among the littoral states. Slide number 12. After the Cold War, security mechanisms founded by littoral countries with the leadership of Turkey have established a long-term cooperation and stability in the maritime domain on the basis of regional ownership principle. Turkey believes that the security balance in the Black Sea should be maintained by holding the communication channels open and employing the principle of regional ownership. Cooperation and dialogue among littorals is the main factor to promote regional security and stability in the Black Sea region. Black Sea issues can be resolved and the stability can be reconstructed and maintained by the littoral states. In order not to trigger escalations, non-regional interventions should not be provocative, but proactive and constructive. Slide number 13. Montreal Convention of 1936 can be regarded as another achievement of Turkey with consensus of the Black Sea littoral states. Montreal regime, which is a vital principle for the Black Sea security, regulates the freedom of navigation through the Turkish Straits to and from Black Sea for both merchant and naval warships. It also provides the opportunity to balance the presence of naval power in the Black Sea. Turkey supervises the implementation of the convention with an approach of maximum precision and objectivity, even in the most challenging times such as World War II and the Cold War area. It may be stated that Montreal Convention lies at the heart of security equation in the Black Sea. Slide number 14. For the purpose of enhancing peace and stability in the Black Sea, Black Sea Naval Cooperation Task Group was initiated by Turkey in 2001 as a multinational naval on-call peace task force. All the littoral navies participated in Black Sea Force effectively until its suspension upon the Ukraine crisis in 2014. Another initiative, namely Operation Black Sea Harmony, was launched by Turkey in 2004 in accordance with UN Security Council resolutions 1373, 1540, and 1566. This initiative is an active operation with support of Russia, Romania, and Ukraine. The main purpose of the operation is to prevent illegal activities such as terrorism and asymmetric threats and the illegal proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. As a leading country in the Black Sea, Turkey will continue to put forward constructive efforts. As a staunch NATO ally, Turkey supports NATO presence in the Black Sea by contributing to standing naval forces, rotational deployments under the framework of tailored forward presence concept. Slide 15. In this context, Turkish Navy welcomes and participates in trainings and exercises with standing naval forces in the Black Sea. Additionally, Turkish Navy provides 60% of recognized maritime fixtures to NATO. Slide 16. The existence of international waterways to the open seas and the abundance of hundreds of islands, islets, and rocks give the agency a sui generis feature. As a semi-closed sea between Turkey and Greece, The agency is not only important for the two coastal states, but for the other states that have engaged in maritime trade in the Black Sea. However, the intricate geography and the difference in the interpretation of international law lays the ground for some dispute between Greece and Turkey. Slide 17. While the deep-rooted problems remain serious, these interrelated issues affect the relations between the two coastal states. Here, it should be included that irregular immigration is a major maritime security issue in the agency. With unbearable crisis in some countries, millions of people have been displaced in the last decade. According to the latest figures, Turkey is hosting 3.6 million Syrian refugees out of 4 million total, and this is the biggest refugee population in the world. Turkey efforts to provide them with humanitarian support. Because of cruel interventions to the refugees, including pushbacks to the Turkish territory and mishandling of their safety and health by Greece Navy and Greece Coast Guard, it is sad to mention that lots of innocent lives have been lost to the waters of the Aegean. In order to help stop this humanitarian plight, Turkish Navy contributes